So sometimes I look in the mirror and if we're going out for drinks, I'm like, oh, I look nice. I look really good. I love that for me. My hair's nice. I've got a nice lipstick on and I feel fab.
Whereas
And
I
then,
look in mirrors sometimes and I'll go, oh yeah, me.
hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alexis Blake.
And I'm Liam Blake.
And this is episode 15 of The Blake Debate. And we're here with Blake. We said, how many times did we say Blake then? About a million.
4 or 5 maybe.
So welcome back. It's been a while, has it not?
It's
Since
been
we
a
did
while.
a podcast.
We've got a little bit of a different backdrop today.
We're in our lounge, living room.
I just fancied something a little bit more relaxed, a bit more chill today.
Chill vibes only. So it's been a little bit of a while since we posted because we have been on holiday. My first holiday since transition. Very, very excited. Well, I was.
And my first holiday since you transitioned.
Well, yes, it is. It's our proper first holiday together. So we have been abroad together, but I was working as a dancer back then. And
you were working. I was having a bit of a holiday, but this is the first holiday we've done where we've both been on holiday, chilling, relaxing, having a good time.
And it was really good. We're going to go into the bikini situations.
Amazing.
And did I get clocked or not? And everything. We'll show you some pictures as well. So
we'll also have a little chat about where it is still illegal to go abroad. Well, what I mean is, in what countries is it illegal to be
LGBT?
In LGBT, yeah, LGBT laws. And which
well,
countries?
That was one thing I was a bit nervous about. So we'll dive straight into the holiday. So first things first.
And finally, we'll answer some questions from
yes, we will. First things first. It's very camp. I had to get a passport. So my old passport was about to expire and it had a very different name. It had M instead of F and I looked pretty different in it.
You had a beard, babe.
Well, thank you, Liam.
And
thank
short
you.
hair.
I did. So I needed to get a new one. So to do that, you have to prove lots of documents and diagnoses and things, send it all off to the government and then they eventually approve it and get your passport back. So it wasn't too hard because I already had all the documents, obviously, from my transition. So I got my passport and I was very excited. And then I had to start bikini shopping. How was that for you?
We basically, all the delivery guys and women that come to the house are pretty much known by first name basis now. I might as well invite him in for a beer.
Because Liam works from home and I was ordering like so much stuff for the holiday and a lot of bikinis and stuff. Yeah, you had to answer the door a lot. I'm very sorry.
Well, we've as a lot of people have, we've got a Ring doorbell. And the amount of times I'd be trying to video edit through the day and it'd be, there's movement at the front door, somebody's at the front door. I had to turn it off. Anyway, the point is, she ordered about 50 bikinis. Every evening was the same. So she'd go, Liam. I'd be like, yeah. She'd be like, can you just come and have a look at this? I'd be like, yeah. So I went in and the reason I'm like rolling my eyes is because it was the exact same thing every time. It was like trying a bikini. Yeah, looks nice. And then she'd be like, I hate it. I look fat. I look this. I look that. And then
have a meltdown.
And this was a rinse and repeat process for a week straight.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, so I think any woman, bikinis are like, it just shows a lot of your body. And for me, I have been very much covered up for the last 3 years of my transition. So like this is the most skin I will get out and I'm wearing jeans. And even this is like a one-off. Normally to work I'm wearing like long sleeves and stuff. So I was a little bit nervous about getting, it's basically underwear, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
So I shopped around, ordered loads offline. They all came. They covered nothing. So my whole booty was out. And
one of them was just string. It was
just different pieces of string.
How does my head go?
I don't know.
My leg go hit?
I literally, it blew my mind. Like I was like, I can't wear that. So then I found some eventually. If you're curious from the UK and you want some bikinis that cover your bum and your tum, Matalan and Supermarket. They're the best ones. So I got some. And I felt good.
Well, your favourite one was the
yellow one.
Blooming
love the yellow one.
That was from Matalan, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And I actually got some and I felt good in them. So, next question. Did I get clocked? I did a couple of times. So
what does fucking mean?
I'm going to explain now. So, if you don't know what clocked means, it basically means when someone...
You can tell the time.
Yes, Liam, that's exactly what it is. Well done.
Yay.
It means that if you're trans and someone notices you because you're trans, that means they're clocking you. You're getting clocked. And people always say lovely comments like, Alexis, I'd never know. And there is signs though, and it's fine. I'm completely okay with my body. I'm tall. I've said it so many times, like I'm tall, big hands, big feet, Adam's apple, I'm broad. I have the anatomy of a male because I was 27 when I transitioned. So I knew, or I was expecting people to notice. I don't think everyone did. But obviously in the bikini, I have my area here and everything was like feminine but it was, I don't know if it was my height, my broad
Well,
shoulders.
the point is, we were at a hotel that was quiet. There was
it was very quiet. It was lovely.
maybe one family there. Not that I have a problem with kids, but generally kids are screaming all day long out there having a good time, and sometimes it's when you just try to relax. But it wasn't like that. There were loads of different nationalities in the hotel. It were beautiful, all inclusive stuff, and it was a very chill atmosphere. And other than there was a couple, wasn't there, that were
staring a lot,
but you
like
gave
giving
them
like the evils,
and then they stopped. But there was a group of people as well that were from like Liverpool, weren't there? And there was people from where we live, from our actual village.
I don't know if they clocked me or if they were just super polite and didn't make a thing of it.
They didn't make anything of it.
But I didn't get any like heckles or like bad slurs or anything. But I don't know if people are like, is she not? Like, or maybe like it is, but they were just really polite, which is amazing. And it makes me proud of human beings for that. Because
didn't you have someone call you in the toilets and tell you?
Yeah, so there was 3 girls, and one of the girls, they were all like in the 20s, early 30s, and one of the girls one day was swimming past me and she kept looking at me, and I'm thinking, oh, she's clocking me, she knows, but it's fine. But she kept smiling at me and smiling at me a lot, and I'm like...
What,
okay.
like an approval smile?
I think so. But then obviously we don't really talk about it, but we do get like people when we go out in the world and people do like recognize us and stuff from here and TikTok and Instagram, which is really cool, and I still can't wrap my head around. So I don't know if she was clocking me or part of my brain's like maybe she just recognized us from social media. But anyway, the other girl who was with her, I was in the toilets and I was washing my hands one day and I was just about to walk out and she walked in and I had my hair in 2 French braids because we were in the pool and I was just trying to keep it out my face. And she looked at me in the mirror and she smiled and started nodding and she was like, you look great. I love the plaits. And it was just so... This is why I love women, because they're just so like... Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Like bigging up.
They're just like,
other
sister,
women.
you got this.
Yeah,
That's what she was saying without
yeah.
saying it. And I was just like, thank you. That's because obviously they probably could tell there was a little bit of me that was, I was always slightly aware and I don't want to say uncomfortable. I said this, do you remember? I was always alert, like when we were walking out the town and there was lots of locals and stuff. And I don't think I was in any danger ever.
No.
But because we weren't at home in familiar surroundings, I was always like, what's going to happen? Who is that? And I was always making sure I knew where people were. It's very silly, probably more in my head, but I don't know if you're trans. Let me know if you feel like that or have had that experience.
When I'm somewhere new, I do that anyway, and it's not for me. It's not to do being
but
trans.
you settled into the like.
No, but I'm always very hyper aware of who's around.
Yeah.
Where we are, where the exits are, what the route is to get back home or get back to the hotel. I'm always very hyper aware of all that situation.
I think when we went out for food and I was wearing like white linen trousers and tops, Greek food is amazing. When I was wearing like a full outfit and my makeup and hair and stuff, I think I blended in more. But it's when I had my hair up, minimal makeup on and a bikini. It's just, I'm not a biological woman, so people probably will notice. And it's just a fact that I think every trans person who transitions as an adult, so if you're going from male to female, you transition as an adult, you just can't, I don't know how to say it nicely.
But it's like me. I used to be obese when I was a teenager. So even though I lost the weight, I'm always going to be
self-conscious.
One
of the most self-conscious people I've ever met in my life. And the confidence I exude and this charisma and charm, because you are quite charming. But the way he is on camera is how he is in real life. And you wouldn't think that that same person could be incredibly self-conscious. It's bizarre.
But it's like I've got that inbuilt into me. That I was that fat kid, and even though I lose weight, I might have a 6-pack, I might put weight on, I might lose weight, I might whatever. When I look in the mirror, sometimes I still see that fat kid. So you will sometimes still see that old you because you've lived it for 27 years. I've lived being fat for 18 years.
It's the weirdest thing, like, again, if any trans women are watching, trans girls, sometimes I will look in the mirror and not to big myself up. Like, we should all big ourselves up, though. I look at myself and I'm like...
People should love themselves a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So sometimes I look in the mirror and if we're going out for drinks, I'm like, oh, I look nice. I look really good. I love that for me. My hair's nice. I've got a nice lipstick on and I feel fab.
Whereas I look in the mirror sometimes and I'll go, oh, yeah, me.
You need to blur that out. You are not putting that in.
But then other times I'm like, I hate every inch of my body.
But I think that's just part of being a human being. I think most people will probably agree.
I'm like, how you doing?
Cheeky.
And other times I'm like...
But then sometimes I look in the mirror and all I see is a man. So it's so strange that, and we could be talking like, I'll get a shower and I'll get out of the shower with wet hair and no makeup. I'm like, that's a man. And then I'll put a little bit of makeup on and dry my hair and I'm like, oh, I feel good now. So it's bizarre. But anyway, back to Greece. So I did get clocked a couple of times. And by the third day, we were going to the water park to go on like the
Oh my God, I love the water park.
Kid who was
the
a kid.
wave machine.
Do you know like when you have a baby and like you've seen like videos of babies when they're just babies are laughing hysterically? That was him in the water park, and I think I fell in love with you a little bit more because you were just so cute.
So they had this giant wave machine, and I'm just like, let's get in there. I need to be.
I was spinning him around on it.
I was on what? Oh, I was on a big rubber ring, and I'm not tall. I'm only 5'8", right? And you're taller than me.
That's the first time you've been honest about your height to me
5'8".
ever.
I'm 5'8".
When we started talking, I'm 5'10", and when I met him, I'm like, where are you?
On my dating profile it says 5'11".
Yes, it did, 5'11".
But in my defence, it's because I wear my big boy shoes.
You booster trainers.
My booster trainers, they're literally...
They have a wedge in.
No, they don't have a wedge in them.
Under them, then.
Basically, they are... When my foot's in them, they're on like a platform, but it's part of the training. They're not special shoes or all that. But yeah, so I went straight into the wave machine on this rubber dinghy. She was behind me and she was pushing me into the waves, and I was just going over these waves.
He was laughing and it was so cute.
It was the funniest thing ever.
But when we got there, I was so like, oh my gosh, like we're moving around, we're on rides, like we're just going to see a high volume of people in that day.
It was busy.
Whereas around the pool, we're just laying there, like there's 3 or 4 people around the pool, or maybe 6 or 7. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be, I'm going to get clocked, someone's going to say something, what if there's drama, what if someone starts? And then after 10 minutes, I'm like, these are all families. They're not even looking at me.
Nobody cares.
So why do I care? Like, and it was such a huge moment in my head, and it put so much stuff into perspective, because I think a lot of us in life, we always think everyone cares about what we look like, what we wear, how we act, what we say, and then I just realised like people don't. People are in their own bubbles, and it was the biggest release. I can't explain.
But not as a blanket term. There's a lot of people out there that do care. Do judge.
But for most part, 'cause it was all families there. No one. We were just having a good time, and it was great.
To be honest with you though, like it's not the first time we've been to Greece, and I love Greece. The people, the food. I've never had a bad issue with anybody from Greece anyway. Any issues that I might have arisen or that have annoyed me, it's been other British people.
Yeah, true. But it was good.
I do find, like my personal experience, I do find that Greece is seemingly quite accepting of everything. But there was this really cool part anyway. So
all right, okay, here we go.
The planes. So where we were staying, our hotel was effectively on like a hill. We were situated genuinely a stone's throw away from the actual runway. So the end of the runway, so where the planes came in to land and to take off, we were situated there. So we'd be laid in the pool and a plane would fly over our heads. And I'm not joking, this must happen 50 to 80 times a day. And you'd think it'd be annoying and the noise and stuff, but actually, I just found it fascinating.
We went and stood underneath them as close as we could get.
Yeah, because there was a walk down to the sea, and connecting our section over to the other part of the mainland, there was effectively a 5 or 6 foot concrete road, shall we say, a pathway that went right across the sea. And on either side of you had the sea, but it was shallow because there were rocks and stuff there. And there were fishermen on there, and they were all casting the lines. We nearly got our eye taken out because we were walking on and it's like, whoosh, whoosh.
Literally.
Like, what's that? But honestly, being stood there, I'll insert a video here. You were literally, the planes, you'd see them coming in from a distance, and they'd seem so far away, but then they'd get closer and closer and closer. Next minute, they're going over your head. And if I'd have had a stick long enough, I could have gone, tickle, tickle.
I'm sure you could have, Liam,
literally touched the plane.
They weren't that low. I think you've been a
close.
little bit dramatic there.
Literally, the pilot waved at me as he went down.
I'm sure, oh, he did, yeah, he did.
He was like, yo, you're Liam, aren't you, from Blake Debate? I was like, yo. Yeah, honestly, I swear to God, that happened.
Okay, I believe you.
And then I woke up.
But yes, I think that was the bulk of the holiday, really. Went on a boat trip. You loved that.
Which you've already got a TikTok on that, haven't you? And a short.
We swam in the ocean, which I'm not a big fan of. I wore sea shoes. Put some pictures on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. And Liam on Instagram. We'll put our handles here now. That's the job for you. So
what do you mean I'm going to put the handles on?
Like our Instagram
they're in
names.
The description.
Oh, they're in the description box.
Don't give me more work to do.
Sorry. So we went anyway. I posted on Instagram some pictures of us, the one in the yellow bikini in the sea, and we did like a little video and stuff. And so many people were like, "Love you, Alexis," but the sea shoes, the shoes. And I'm like, leave my sea shoes alone. Do you know what? I don't care. My feet didn't get cut in the sea.
Do you know what it is? The reason we're wearing sea shoes is because when we were in Greece last time, I cut my foot open on a really sharp rock, and because it's on your foot, it's quite hard to heal.
Yeah.
And it took like 2 weeks for it to so
and
I
you
could
were
walk
in pain.
on it. I was in a lot of pain, and I'm just like, I don't want to cut my feet again. And luckily we wore the sea shoes, and to be quite honest, a lot of people on that
a lot more. I'd say around 30% of people, 40% had sea shoes on, which surprised me. I thought we would be the only ones.
But I think it's British people who are just so against them, seemingly, like, what are you wearing them for? But actually, a lot of the people that was on the boat trip were Greeks. There were people from Poland. There were even some Russians on there.
Yeah, there was a lot of
They had sea shoes, and
people.
where we got out to swim in the sea, we swam over to some rocks, and let me tell you, those rocks were sharp.
They were.
So
we sound so old right now.
Get your sea shoes on, honestly. And I don't like things touching my feet anyway.
Not
and when
in
you're
the
in the
sea
sea
now.
and you're walking on, like, generally the rocks are quite mossy, aren't they? Or it makes me feel sick. So when wearing sea shoes, it just, I
they were fab, but people made me laugh commenting. There was nothing like bad. They were just like, "Oh, Alexis, what are you wearing?"
What are those?
Best thing ever. I would highly recommend.
Yeah, one of my favourite places we visited was Corfu Town, which is it was only about a 10-minute bus ride away.
Yeah, it's the main part of Corfu. There's a lot of shops and stuff there. But do you know what Liam did on our last night?
No, it was when we came back from Corfu Town.
Wait, which story are you telling?
The Wikipedia deep dive.
Oh my gosh. No, I wasn't telling that story. You just reminded me. So if anyone's got ADHD, or if you have a partner or a friend who's got ADHD, you'll probably recognise this behaviour. So we got back from Corfu Town, which is just like a town in Greece.
It's gorgeous. It's a town in Corfu.
It's a town in Corfu, which is that not Greece?
Yeah, it's a Greek island.
Oh, geography, not my strong suit. So we got back, and the second we got back into the room, laptop was straight out, and I was looking at him, and he was just enthralled in what he was doing, but there was no sound. So I was like, he's not watching a video or anything. What is he doing? And then he just starts going, "Babe, do you know how many different types of spiders are in Corfu?" Literally. And he was on 3 hours. 3 hours, I think you were researching the history of Corfu, the animals, everything.
I was like, there's 15 species of snake. Only one of them is deadly.
It was like having the weirdest news reporter laid next to me.
You were laid next to me, and I think you were video editing one of your TikToks, and she had earphones on. So every time I read a fact that I found really interesting, I was like, babe, and she's like, what? And I'm like, did you know that in 1605 there was a king and the castle was stormed? They attempted to storm it 3 times. Corfu Castle, it's in Corfu Town. They attempted to storm the castle 3 times and they failed every time. And she was like, all right, cool. And then carried on.
I'm so sorry.
And then 10 minutes later I'd be like, babe. She's like, what? I'm like,
constantly.
Did you know that the reason the houses in Corfu Town, they're all really tall and really thin, it's because there was a lot of money involved in Corfu Town. It's like nobility. It was built by nobility, and it's one of the only towns in the whole of Greece where the buildings are built this way. And also, babe, and she was like, yeah. I'm like, do you remember when we were looking at a lot of the buildings and they were like falling apart and their paints were all off and stuff? Well, the reason is because it's a World Heritage Site, so they're protected, so they've got to stay like that.
Yeah, I had a lot of that for about 3 to 4 hours, which is great. It's just you though.
The thing is, I hyper focus on things. I get absolutely, completely obsessed with it, and then it's over. A week later or an hour later, I'm like bored.
Yeah, literally. So on the last night, we went into Corfu Town for a meal, and I think I've mentioned it before, but I am celiac, so I can't eat gluten. My body I'm not happy. Which happened on one of the nights. They gave me some pasta, and they assured me it was gluten free. It was not. I looked a good 6 months pregnant.
9.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Literally ready to pop.
Thank you.
It's all right.
That was so kind.
Well, just, babe, you were swollen.
Anyway, that happens, and I get a little bit ill for a day.
The thing is, though, you know, when you see those stereotypical people like, can we see your menu? You know what I mean? We have to be like that.
I hate it because I feel so awkward, but I just have to be careful.
But cross-contamination is something that just sometimes can't be avoided, is it? So if you do accidentally have gluten, it's not like you become a Karen about it.
No, I wouldn't say anything. But on the last night, we were looking around at all these different restaurants, and we kept having to ask if they had gluten-free options, and a lot of them said no. And then we found one, and they said they could throw me something together. But because a lot of places didn't have gluten-free options, it meant for a week I ate chicken, rice, and salad. That's all I could eat at most places.
You didn't really eat the salad because you're a salad dodger.
No, I ate the lettuce. So I had that basically every single day for lunch and dinner. And then we found one restaurant in another part of Corfu, which was kind of near our hotel, that did have gluten-free stuff. And we went all the way into town. I wore this white dress, did my hair, we got rained on, just to have our final meal out. And then we walked around, 5 different restaurants?
And came back.
Nowhere could do it. And then I was like, it's fine, I'll just have something here, it's fine. And they was like, no, we're going back because I don't want you to get ill and I want you to enjoy your last meal here. You little cutie pie.
So we went to the restaurant up the road from where we were staying.
And it was amazing.
And
I didn't get ill.
He would call George, and he actually had gluten-free bread though. He ordered it in specifically for
I know, it was amazing.
People that are gluten tolerant, and the atmosphere was great, the food was great. I just want to be back in Greece. Anyway, on the last day, we were I was not ready to come home. Normally, I'm ready to come home. I miss my car, I miss my bed, I miss my gaming. But I was not ready to come home. We booked another holiday, haven't we?
We're going to Marbella in 2 months.
We're going to Marbella in September. Ooh.
It's only a little 4-night thing, isn't it?
4 nights, 5 days.
But yeah, we can post a bit about that when it comes.
Yeah, so we've literally 8 weeks today. We'll be laid on a beach in Marbella, and I could not be happier. And you know what it is like? My mum-in-law, your mum, she goes on holiday 5-6 times a year.
She works hard.
She works hard. She's a really hard worker, you know, but she goes on holiday 5-6 times a year. And I'd be like, why did you go on holiday so long? Now I get it. Because it's having that something to look forward to.
And work towards.
And like, now I know I'm going on holiday again in 8 weeks. I'm pushing harder at the gym. I'm working harder because I'm like, I'm getting that break again. And we've already looking at booking our next holiday for next summer, aren't we?
You are already looking at booking our next holiday for next summer.
Did you just swear?
No.
Oh, booking. You said booking.
Yeah.
I thought you said something else. Yes, so we're going to be booking a holiday to, where is it, Crete or Zante?
I don't know. You've decided.
Yeah, well, I'm in charge of the next holiday, and it's going to be with Beth and Chris, our friends again, so we're doing that next July. But I like having something to look forward to.
Yeah, I think most people, it's nice to have something to look forward to, definitely.
Shall we move on to the next topic?
Yeah.
So, since we're talking about how Alexis felt being abroad, being a trans woman, and whether she got clocked or not, and how people treat her, I just thought it'd be interesting just to have a little touch upon how many countries in the world it's still illegal to be LGBT. I'm going to ask you, how many countries in the UK...
One.
How many countries in the world do you think it's still illegal to be part of the LGBT community?
I don't know how many countries are in the world.
You don't need to know how many countries are in the world.
Well, how many are in the world would determine how many's... I'd say it's 50-50 split.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, here we go. Got a cat hair on my lip and I can't get it off. I think I got it.
There's around 70 plus countries where it's still illegal to be LGBT, to be gay, to be
I can't
lesbian,
imagine
whatever.
that. Like,
they have anti-LGBT laws in place. Like, straight away, if I said to you, do you think it's illegal to be gay in Russia? What would you think?
I'd say yes.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not illegal to be gay in Russia.
But it's illegal to advertise and celebrate and kind of promote they call it propaganda.
But there's a difference, though, isn't there? Because being illegal is like is very much like you'll get put in prison and awful things will happen to you if you are LGBT. But then there's also some countries where it's maybe not illegal, but it's still not well liked. Like if you look at England 40 years ago, people did not like LGBT people. Like there was a lot of hate thrown at them. That's what, like, when all the pride started. So even though some countries in the world might be legal...
Right, the thing is, we've got to think it's 2024, so 40 years ago it was done in 1984, so it'd be about 50 years ago.
Yeah, but if you look
Stonewall,
at posts in the 80s... 80s. All that was in the 80s in
Yeah,
America. And all
true.
the abuse those trans women got and,
Yeah.
and gay men got when the HIV crisis was going around, they were hated. So even though it is legal in some of the countries on the map that I'm guessing Liam's going to put
Yeah,
here,
I'm going to pop a map up on screen now, and basically it shows all the areas where they still have anti-LGBT laws in place.
wasn't it the Netherlands that is like the most LGBT doing it right? Like they were one of the first places to legalise same-sex marriage. And they've always been like a step ahead, the Netherlands, of LGBT laws.
We check.
I'm sure it's the Netherlands.
The Danish were the first to legalise same-sex unions and civil partnerships.
Yeah. Danish people are from the Netherlands.
I know. Wait, what? Are they?
Yeah. The Netherlands is a collection of countries, and Denmark is one of them.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't do well in geography.
I think, oh my God, what if I'm wrong? Please don't shout at me if I'm wrong. Listen to this is really interesting.
Okay.
So as of 2024, marriage between same-sex couples is legally performed and recognised in 36 countries, with a total population of 1.5 billion people. So 20% of the world. So only 20% of the world's population can get married if they're same-sex.
To who they want.
It's only 20%.
Well,
still not a lot, is it really? When you think about it,
it's
we're
not
quite
as a
lucky.
percentage.
You forget because in your own country, like in England, obviously there's some bad stuff happens, but we do live in somewhat of a bubble compared to like some of the extreme countries. You just don't. You just forget.
Well, yeah, I agree with you there. And this is what brings me on to what I was going to say about like when we were going to Greece. Even though we felt safe, and even though you being transgender, we would never want to push it out there.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No,
no. And if anyone's going traveling, if you're gay, lesbian, transgender, whatever you are, if you're part of the LGBT community, always do your research where you're traveling, because again, looking at the map, there's certain countries where
we'll never go.
Yeah, where we won't go. Matter of principle, matter of because it's illegal. But you just do your research, because even something as simple as holding your partner's hand or kissing your partner in public in some countries, that's severely frowned upon. And even not necessarily just because it's a gay thing, it's just public affection in some countries is a big no-no. So make sure you know whether they are LGBT friendly.
Yeah. The best place to go, which is where we were almost going to go for our first holiday, we were going to go to Gran Canaria, because Gran Canaria they have one of the biggest prides in the world, so they are very much LGBTQ plus. Like they know it there. It's all good and safe there, as far as I'm aware. But we were going to do that one for the first one, but we ended up going to Greece. Yeah,
I love Greece so much.
I know you do. We're never going to stop going now, are we?
I
would like to go to other countries.
Look how big Greece is, though.
I know.
And all the islands.
I really want to go to
Athens. It has like 70 islands.
I want to go to Athens,
capital. Yeah, well, we can go to Athens. Cool. Right, Blake, should we go on to the questions next?
Yes.
So the first question is from Tomorrow Vibes Only.
Hello.
And they say, what impact do you hope to have on your listeners, especially those who may be struggling with their own gender identity?
Wow, big question. I hope that maybe just I can show them like my life, and that might help them become at ease with their own. So like the journey that you got to go on and all the confusing thoughts and craziness, and I hope that helps them understand who they are a bit more. And like when I talk about like my laser or my surgeries or different parts of transition, I hope that can maybe help guide people, because it's very confusing. If you don't know what you're doing, it's like a whole there's not a guidebook. There probably is, but I didn't have
trans for dummies.
Basically, I didn't have a guidebook, and I just had to figure it out. And there's loads of stuff that it involves. And then people who are not necessarily trans who watch my content, I think just to show that normalize like being transgender, like it is part of who I am, but it isn't who I am. It's just a little section.
It's not all of who you are.
Yeah, and I think there's so many trans people on social media, on the internet, that are villainized because they're just not nice people. They say awful things.
Some of them are like, they look like panto villains.
Literally, and I just want everyone to know that most trans people aren't like that. So what about you?
I'd like the same thing to normalise our relationship, to show people that there are people out there that go through these situations where the partner comes out as trans, and yes, some of them won't be able to deal with it, some of them will struggle, some of them might find it really easy, but I've always been open from the beginning about it. I've recently just done an interview with a social media company in regards to my side of things, and they wanted to hear how I'm dealing with it and how we met and what I did when Alexis came out, and I just want to kind of show that we are just down to earth, boring people. To be fair,
literally most days we are really boring.
Most days we come home, we get our comfies on, we lay on the sofa and watch crap on TV,
and I love it.
But yeah, just to kind of normalise, and I don't like the word normal, but to normalise that trans people and trans relationships, you know, we're just everyday people. Really.
We just make each other happy, and that's what's the most important thing.
And like your side of things is anybody that's trans can go through all your content that you've posted from the beginning, and there's probably something in there to cover most people's questions.
Yeah, definitely.
So
thank you.
Your like a lot of your content is almost like a trans encyclopedia of like
I like that.
what to do in this situation, what to do in that situation. But a lot of people do ask my opinion on things and my experience and how I feel. So I mean I'm an open book. We're both open books. We just share and share alike. So if it could maybe help people understand it a bit more. Right, next question. I hope that answers your question anyway. Tomorrow vibes only. Right, so this next question is from Crust3997.
Hello.
And they say, I have a question. Please be kind, everyone. If you have a child born male but transitioning to female, is it normal to feel grief and loss as well as excitement?
I feel like that's more for you to answer than me. You'd be able to give more advice on that.
All feelings are valid and normal. If you didn't feel happy and sad and grief and a bit of a loss, then I don't think it'd be normal.
I think that is totally normal. I think we touched on the excitement. I think some people might read that a bit the wrong way. And I understand where they're coming from. So some people might be like, why would you be excited? Your kid's life's going to be harder, it's going to be expensive, got to go through this medical change and all this sort of stuff as they get older enough to do it. But I don't think they mean that. I think they mean they're probably excited because their child is excited. Because there's moments where you were excited for me because you could see I'm happier. And I'm doing things I wanted to do. The joy it was bringing me. It's like a shared excitement, if that makes sense.
Sometimes, though, the word excitement doesn't even always mean what we mean it to mean. Like, excitement, you think happy. Yeah. But sometimes excitement, it could just mean a lot going on. Yeah. I got lost in the excitement of things. Yeah. And do you know what I mean? So this person might mean that, like... Yeah. I'd say your feelings are valid.
Don't rush anything.
Step at a time. Don't rush anything. It's normal to feel a mixture of emotions. Next question. Yeah. So this question is from the She Goz, and they've got a few questions, but I will just go with one question. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. So I'll ask you this question. I think it's more aimed at you. I suppose it could be for both of us. Does simply dressing in women's clothing or makeup make one trans? I mean, isn't that simply being a cross-dresser? Do cross-dressers have rights to female spaces?
No.
No, absolutely
I didn't even hesitate, no. And wearing makeup and female clothing
does not qualify you to be trans in itself.
In itself, yeah. So, like, at the start of my transition, before I started hormones, I was trans in here, but on the outside, still very much male, which is why I used male toilets or gender-neutral toilets. I wouldn't go into the female toilets with a beard and short hair because it's just disrespectful. So, no, I don't think just changing your clothes and hair makes you trans.
The whole process. Being trans is not just a physical putting on clothes and makeup. It's a process. It's
a transition.
It's a transition.
Generally,
it takes years. It can take years to come to the terms with being trans. And you know, if I just stuck a wig on now and lipstick and walked out in the world and said I'm trans, I wouldn't be trans. That's not right. Just because I've done that.
It requires a proper diagnosis.
It requires gender dysphoria.
But specifically around female spaces and women's bathrooms, I think there needs to be a semblance, an element of transition. So if you're just going to walk in there looking like a man, you're not going to get a warm welcome. No. Whereas I think from my experience, when I've gone in and I was about 6 months into my transition, I'd already started laser. I think I had started hormones actually. I was wearing wigs, female clothing. I was very visibly trans. You could see I was a trans woman from a mile off, which was fine. But I think the women were like, oh, this is a trans woman. This is not a man. There is a difference of that like fear factor when you walk into the toilet. So I think for me personally, you can be trans and not have transitioned yet, but I don't think you should be using female spaces. And what that means for you, and if you disagree, I understand that's your opinion, but that's just mine. I waited because I didn't want to feel uncomfortable and I didn't want to make other people feel comfortable, which would then in turn make me uncomfortable. So it was like a circle. Yeah, I think that.
I think to call yourself trans, you need to have gone through quite a few hoops before you.
I think at the moment there's so many. I think it's just so easy to be like, I'm trans and change nothing.
Going back to podcast number 1.
I know, trans to be
trendy.
Yeah,
And
it is. And I think maybe not everyone who says it means it, or not everyone who says it actually is. For me, transgender means transition from one to the other.
Yeah.
And everyone's transition is different. And I
People
think...
are at different stages of it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
I
my
remember when I
opinion.
was at school, everyone was suddenly bisexual because it was so cool.
That was so weird, that, because when I came out as gay, I was a gay man teenager before, obviously, because I was a boy. It was not cool. And then all of a sudden, like, as we will get into the older age, about to leave school, it suddenly became cool to be bisexual. I'm like, what is
Everyone
going
was
on?
like, I'm bisexual. I'm like, all right.
No,
okay,
you're not.
all right.
Anyway, shall we call it there?
Let's call it
Are you
there.
going to make me my dinner?
I'm going to
please?
make us our dinner.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the podcast number 15 is.
Yep. If you do enjoy this kind of content, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for instant notifications.
And we're also available on Spotify.
I haven't finished my sentence.
Oh, sorry.
For instant notifications of when Alexis posts a new video or when we post a new podcast.
And you can...
I'm joking.
You can listen to our podcast on
Spotify,
Apple Music,
and Amazon Music. You can't no longer listen on Google Podcasts.
No.
That's been shut down now, I'm afraid.
so you can just listen to us and hear
Yeah,
us
if you don't want to look at us, if looking at us makes you feel physically sick, you can just
looking at you makes me happy. Anyway, on that gushy note, we'll call it there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye. Wait. Bye.